Hey everybody, I'm Deema, this is Greenie. We are both software engineers at RevenueCat. We're here to talk to you today about basically billing libraries 5 and 6, more specifically how you would migrate your paywall from billing library 4 into 5 or 6. We're going to try to do that through a code example for the most part, so we're going to have that code available on GitHub. Feel free to use it. We're also going to have the slides available later, so you can access them. You don't need to take any notes if there are any. All right, so our agenda. I'm going to do a very brief overview of what Google Play Billing is and why you should care about being up to date. After that, I want to talk a little bit about Billing Library 6, because you may notice we're probably going to be saying Billing Library 5 a lot more than 6, and I want to explain why. After that, I'll talk a little bit about the subscription models, how they're different, and then I'll hand over to Greenie, who will go over the code and show a paywall in V4 and how it got migrated to V5 and any little things there. At the very end, I wanted to bring up some of the challenges basically that we faced at RevenueCat when we did the migration. And yeah, so, all right, what is Google Play Billing? It's basically a Google system that allows you to sell digital goods and services. You have to use it, so there's no way around it. So, and the way to use it is just integrate it into your app. So there are, the most recent versions of the library were both released the same day, like a few days ago, 5.2.1 and 6.0.1. So, okay, I have to use this library because I'm going to sell something, but why do I need to be updated? You need to be up to date because of two reasons. The first reason, which is kind of a forcing function, is that Google runs on 2-year deprecation cycles. So BillingClient 4 was released 2 years ago, and it's about to get deprecated. If you're releasing a new app, you have until the end of this month to release something without BC5. And then if you have an existing app and you're trying to update it, you have until November. So less than 100 days, I believe, as well. We just thought this was interesting. We found it on Google. It just shows the adoption of the SDKs, and it shows that a lot of people are still on versions below 5. All right, the other reason that I like to talk more about of why to upgrade, V5 and V6 are both very, very flexible. They introduce new features that were just not possible before. One big one is prepaid plans. So if you are trying to sell your app in any region that has regulations on auto-renewing subscriptions, the canonical example being India, you have to have a prepaid plan. So that's the only option. Another really cool thing is offers that you determine. Basically, in your app code, you determine whether or not you're going to give this offer. So in the past, Google would make that determination on your behalf. And it'll return it or not return it. But now you can have offers that you just make the decision yourself. And a scenario that you could think of basically is like, say your app needs more, you want more users, you want more people to see your app, so we want to raise awareness. You can offer a discount for people who share it on social media, which is something you couldn't do before. Another thing, you could maybe offer a discount based on somebody's geolocation or what device they use. So there's a lot of different options here. There's a lot of flexibility. Tags are basically very related to the offers. They're a way to organize, to manage your offers. I think we're going to see them in code and how you can actually use that to get the offer that you want. There are a lot of also other features. I know I have not listed everything, but another one that's really cool is that pricing now is a lot more granular. You can, I think, set pricing individually in 173 countries, which is awesome. All right. So before we actually get into the meat of the talk, I want to talk about V6 versus V5. The reason we're focusing on V4 to V5 is because between V5 and V6, there was not really that much of a change. There are more changes than the ones I have listed up there, but it's basically like we added a new enum, we added a new error code. So it's not really relevant. But between V4 and V5, there was a drastic change in how you model subscriptions and how you configure them, how you would need to do your paywall, your backend, that stuff. So what is the subscription model for Billing Library 4 and Billing Library 5? In Billing Library 4, you can think of it as a single entity. So you only have one billing period. You only have up to one optional free trial, up to one optional offer. So let's say I'm trying to sell a newspaper app, right? And I want people to be able to buy a weekly, monthly, or annual subscriptions. Under V4, I actually have to go and create 3 separate subscriptions, and underneath them, whatever offers I have, or out of the 2, the free trial and the offers. In BC5, it's actually now a hierarchical model. So one way that I really like to think about it is that the subscription is now what I'm selling. So I'm selling, access to newspaper articles. The base plan is how I'm selling it. So in my case, I'm selling it, on a weekly, annual, monthly basis. I might have different offers that I want for each one of them. And then, the offers are basically underneath the base plans, and you can do as many as you want. All right, so I'm going to hand over to Greenie to go over the code.
Thank you, Deema. So how does that actually translate into our configuration and into our code? How do we build the paywall, and how does it differ from Billing Library 4 to Billing Library 5? If you're doing migration, how would you do this? So I have a sample app. So welcome to Catflix. Catflix is the streaming service for cat videos. We have a premium service, which is obviously 4K cat videos. So this is how our Billing Library 4 currently is structured. We have premium, we have standard, we have a weekly, monthly, yearly subscription. In Billing Library 4, what we have is that we would have to create 6 different subscriptions. So you see that we have premium, weekly, premium, monthly. Like Deema was saying, that each subscription product is an entity, so it's a flat structure, basically. So in order to do that, you have to have 6 different products. This is what the Play Console setup would look like for the premium. So you have to create 3 separate subscription products, and within it, you will be creating the offers. So what does that look like in a hierarchical structure with Billing Library 5? So now, instead of having 6 subscriptions, we have 2 different subscriptions. So the premium for the 4K cat videos, and then the standard. And within each one, we have the base plans. So the base plans are the duration in this case. So we have weekly, monthly, yearly, and then within each one, we can create the different kind of offers. So in terms of the Billing Library 5 setup, so we'll just have the premium, and within it, we would create the different base plans. So let's look into the code so that we can understand it a little bit better about how we would build a paywall and how that differs between the 2. So right here, I have got my, yes. So this is our Billing Library 4, and this has the same kind of paywall that I showed you on the slides. And in order for us to display all of these products, we have hard-coded these 6 products. So BC4 Premium, Standard, Weekly, all of that. All of this code is on our GitHub repo, so you can just have a look if you want to build your own paywall. But I'll quickly kind of go over what some of these things do. So basically, when we have, when the app it's being created, you load the billing client, and then we've got this part where we're setting up the paywall. Sorry, and then when the billing client is finished setting up, we will be loading the products. The load products function is kind of really where the difference comes in. So within Billing Library 4, you go into the billing client and you do a query SKU details async. So this is a particular specific to Billing Library 4. And then this code is just saying, okay, if it's not empty, then in order for us to have it separated into kind of these two sections, like a premium and standard, we have to go into the SKUs and then for each to look into each one of them and then find the ones that are matching so that we have the premium on one side and standard on the other. So that's kind of how you would load your paywall with BC4. So let's look into how BC5 is different. So let me also do that. So this is BC5. It looks exactly the same except for this, which I'm going to talk about because we have cool little offers features. So all of these are pretty much the same on the billing client finish. We will be we'll be loading the products. And here, when we're loading the products, so instead of the query SKU details, in Billing Client 5, you will be using query product details. And like we were saying, that it has become a hierarchical structure. So what we'll do is that we'll get all of the product details, and then within each one, we have to go through each base plan in order to get the offers. So all of these are within the same product. So they have grouped this together. So why Billing Client 5? All the other reasons, and we also we can also add tags, so offer tags, in order so that you can within your code offer different offers to your subscriber. So for example, we've got one here which is, hey, are you at Joy-Con Berlin? Maybe we want to offer a special discount to people that are right here. And this one uses geolocation that we've created, and so when it goes in, it's going to ask you, it's going to ask the user, where are they? And then bam, you are at Joy-Con Berlin and you get 50% off. So this is very flexible because you can do geolocation, you can do social media, you can basically do whatever that you want or you can put into your code. Okay.
So the challenges. I think Greenie showed that in terms of the SDK itself, it's not really that, it's a little bit different, it's not that complex once you understand how the model is. But I do want to bring up the more challenging part, which is the backend. In case you don't have a backend or you're not convinced, you do actually need it for, and Google recommends that, for at least fraud. So like if you have all your app, or you're doing all the checks on your app. Somebody can get around that. They can get access to your content for free. They can share it. Basically, you're losing money. So that is one really big reason that you want to have a backend. There are other reasons. Say like you want to actually be tracking your customers over a long period of time. For instance, with Google, the receipt expires after 90 days. So you no longer really can go get that transaction. So maybe you actually do want to know all that history. You need your backend. Maybe you want to see, churn, what trends are happening, maybe when people stop buying, blah, blah, blah. So for all of that, you need a backend. And this is the difficult part because, so for BC4 and before that, it was the subscriptions API, now it's subscriptions v2. And there's some information that's missing now that used to be available and just there for you. The biggest one, at least for us at Revenue Cat, was the price. It used to be that you call the API, you get back on the back end, you're like, okay, that's how much was paid. Now, you don't know. And up until October of last year, Google was not even returning what base plan it was. And you could have many base plans, right? So there was no way to know what to do, like how much somebody paid. If I want to track my revenue, I have no way of doing any of this, unless I want to wait and go look at Google reports, etc. The way we got around that is actually Google gives you a pricing phases object. So we passed that from our SDK to our backend and moved all that logic to the backend. So the backend looks at start time, expiry, looks what kind of order it is, what billing cycle we're in, and infers based on all of that how much was paid. Another thing that is missing is promotion information. This has been coming soon on the Google's website for over a year now. Again, information that used to be available readily. Another thing is that payment states are ambiguous, and I say that because in V1 there were payment states, in V2 those completely disappeared, but you can kind of map between them, but not in all cases. So for instance, if you have a subscription in pending state, you don't know if it's actually pending payment, is it deferred upgrade, downgrade, what is going on, you do not know. I think those are the main issues, especially if you're trying to keep track of like how much got paid, your revenue, that kind of stuff. None of that is impossible to get around. You just need to be aware of it. And going in, you're like, okay, I need to pass this information, I need to do X, Y, and Z. So I think that's it for us. If you have any questions, I'd love to hear them.